Painting this rose is a lot easier than you'd think. All you need is 2 paint colors and 1 or 2 paintbrushes, so grab some scrap paper and let's paint. We're going to paint it from this reference photo. To make this easier to trace, go into your gallery settings and turn the highlights all the way up. Turn the shadows all the way down. Then turn the saturation all the way down. I printed this version out and used it to trace my rose. You can see how clear the light and dark spots are in this version of the photo. I've learned from other artists to first paint a light yellow as the backdrop across the entire rose. That way, if there are any gaps, the soft yellow will show through instead of a harsh white. It gives the petals a nice glow. Next, we're going to go petal by petal. Wet down the entire petal and then drop in a very light value of pink. I mixed permanent rose with some cadmium yellow to get this warm pink. We keep doing this for every single petal, but be sure not to do petals that are touching each other. You'll want to dry your painting completely, naturally or with a hairdryer, before you do a petal that will touch a spot that you just painted. Otherwise, it will bleed through. It's very important that you keep each petal completely separate from the ones around it while you're working. I simply looked at the reference photo, and where there were darker spots, I added in more pink. Where there were lighter spots, I was sure to use a very light value of pink, and I even lifted it off in some spots. It helps to not look at the entire rose, but instead to look at each individual petal and only focus on the light and dark on each petal. When you step back, you'll be amazed at how three-dimensional it starts to look. It's important to wet down the entire petal and then drop your paint into the wet, because this prevents you from getting those harsh water lines. You'll also notice that as the paint spreads through the water, it gives it a nice texture, almost like the veins in a petal. After I've painted every petal, I go back in and repeat this process to almost every single petal, re-wetting them and adding in some pink, so that I can add in some even darker values of pink to those extra dark spots. I used pure permanent rose on its own without the cadmium yellow mixed in for the dark spots because it's a cooler shade of pink, and our shadows are always cooler toned than our highlights. We're just going to focus on the rose today. We'll save the leaves and background for another time. My final result isn't perfect, but it's such a great exercise to train your eyes to see light and shadow. We're on our way to making our paintings more realistic.